Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Went for a brisk walk in the autumn air and it was fantastic. How are you?
I did not go for a brisk walk, but I am also feeling quite well.
Oh, good. Well, I love this episode.
Yeah,
So, shall we dive in?
sure.
Well, welcome to Goodnight, Mr. Holmes, a podcast about the Granada Sherlock Holmes, which ran on ITV in the UK between 1984 and 1994 and ran on Masterpiece Mystery in the US around the same time. I'm Laura,
I'm Rachel.
and today we're looking at episode 30 in the series, The Illustrious Client. Who might that be?
The story was first published in Collier's in November 1924.
We're really moving along.
Yeah,
Okay, so the episode opens with a scene of a brook running through rocky countryside that turns out to be the Alps.
and it really lingers on this
Yeah.
brook. We're following it, following it, following it. And I have a note, oh, it's a pretty little creek that we'll probably find a body in. Yep, there it is.
Lo and behold, yes. So a man is running along this body of water, and the camera's alternating to pan over the body of a woman who is dying amid the rocks. And she has a map in her hand, so I guess she was a tourist. So the man reaches the woman. He's wearing a Tyrolean hat, which is pretty spiffy. He kneels next to her and says, "Oh, my dear, my dearest, I warned you. I said, do not go too near the edge."
It is too tempting for me.
The woman looks up at him and there's a trickle of blood coming from her mouth. "Why did you push me, Baron?" she asks. "My dear wife, you're dreaming." "No, dying." And she closes her eyes. "Oh, my darling," the Baron says, and he kisses her. A dog barks, and he looks up, and there's a shepherd boy standing on a precipice above with his white sheepdog. And then we're in a Turkish bath. Holmes and Watson are swaddled in towels and terry cloth robes, sitting.
Yeah,
Sorry?
I like the Turkish bath and Hound of the Baskervilles better. All of these men need to put their clothes back on.
Yes, 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 yes. Well,
Somebody gave me a massage, which I was very jealous of.
yes. Holmes and Watson are not near naked. They're all wrapped up, sitting in these chairs. Watson is smoking his pipe. I'm like, in a spa? Damn. And a hookah sits on a table between them. "Anything stirring, Holmes?" Watson asks. "I know no more than this," Holmes says, and he hands Watson an unusually crisp piece of paper.
That's been in a sauna.
Right, with all the steam around. And I'm like, what?
The telegram came in on cardboard this time.
Where did he pull it from, even? Because he's just wrapped in towels.
He probably did not take off his clothes and was just like, I'm going to sit here in towels and pretend that I did something. Yes, Watson, I am relaxing.
And he says, "It may be some fussy, self-important fool. It may be a matter of life and death." And will you grant this interview?" Watson asks. "I've already confirmed it. Do you know anything about the man?" "Only that name. Colonel Sir James Demery is a household word in society." "I could tell you a little bit more than that," Holmes says. "He has rather a reputation for arranging delicate matters which are to be kept out of the papers. He is a man of the world with a natural turn for diplomacy. I'm bound, therefore, to hope that this is not a false scent, but that he has some real need of our assistance." "Our?" Watson asks, turning to face Holmes. "If you would be so good, Watson."
I've only been doing this for like 30 years.
Right, right. Watson says, "I should be honored." So this is a little bit of kabuki theater they do with each other.
Yes.
Holmes smiles. "Then until 4:30 o'clock, we can put the matter out of our heads." And he takes a big puff on the hookah. Back at 221B, Colonel Damery is telling Holmes, "We are dealing on this occasion with the most dangerous man in Europe." "I've had several opponents to whom that flattering term has been applied," Holmes says. Now he's smoking a pipe, a long-stemmed one. "A man to whom violence is familiar and who will literally stick at nothing," Demery continues. Watson offers him a cigar, which the colonel refuses. "Don't you smoke? Excuse my pipe. But if your man is more dangerous than Professor Moriarty, he's indeed worth meeting. May I ask his name?" Holmes says. "Have you ever heard of Baron Gruner?" Damery says. Holmes turns his head. "The Austrian murderer," he says. So you've already sized him up as a murderer, Damery says. It's our business to follow up on the details of continental crime, Watson says. Which, I mean, okay.
I'm not really sure if he's a good guy or a bad guy. Why are you judging him like this?
I'm assured that he killed his wife when that so-called accident happened at the Splugen Pass, as if I'd seen him do it, Holmes says. So the Splugen Pass is a real place in the Swiss Alps. It goes back to Roman times, which is pretty cool. Oh. And Mary Shelley wrote about it in a travelogue in 1840.
Oh, cool.
And I happen to be in the middle of watching Frankenstein right now, so that is relevant to my interests. Just as I am certain that he disposed of the only witness, an innocent shepherd boy, Holmes continues. Baron Gruner is now in England, Damery says. Residing near Kingston, I am informed, Holmes says. That is so. Kingston upon Thames is a section of London that is to the south of the river. Fun fact, there was apparently torrid debate as to whether it should be called Kingston on Thames or Kingston upon Thames, and whether or not hyphens should or should not be used.
God.
Yes.
What's the difference between on and upon? I say that a data person.
I don't know. The name was standardized in 1965 without hyphens. From here on out, we're just going to call it Kingston. That is so, Damery says. May I also suppose you've heard of General Merville? Holmes turns to Watson, who says, of Khyber Pass fame. Indeed, Damery says.
The Khyber Pass is on the border between Pakistan and Afghanistan.
Yep.
And I'm quoting from Wikipedia here. It was a part of the trade route between Central Asia and the Indian subcontinent, and a military choke point for the various states that controlled it. There was a rivalry between 19th century Britain and Russia over influence in Central Asia, primarily Afghanistan, Persia, and Tibet. So the British East India Company aimed to secure the Khyber Pass from Russia. It was, the region was contested during the Anglo-Afghan Wars, with control shifting between the British, the Sikhs, and the Afghans. After the Second Anglo-Afghan War in 1880, the Khyber region came under British control, but I'm not really sure what Watson is referring to specifically as the Khyber Pass incident.
No, he's been there and has had experience.
It's something that we don't talk about.
No. So, Damery goes on saying, General Merville has a daughter, Violet. Young, rich, accomplished, a wonder woman in every way.
He has a lasso of truth.
And a tiara. It is she, an innocent, we are endeavoring to save from the clutches of this fiend. He has some hold over her, Holmes asks. The strongest of all where women are concerned, Mr. Holmes, Damery says. Ah, Watson says, love. Exactly, Damery says. So Damery's played by David Langton, who is probably best known for playing Richard Bellamy in Upstairs, Downstairs. So that show was like completely famous. Back in the 70s. There was a reboot of it that kind of got washed out because Downton Abbey turned out to be more popular. But I prefer the reboot of Upstairs, Downstairs. It's got Eileen Atkins. It's got
it has a great cast.
Claire Foy.
Wow.
And what's his name? Edward Stoppard, Tom Stoppard's son, who is handsome in this. Anyway, he also played David Langton, Sir Charles Baskerville in the 1983 production of The Hound of the Baskervilles, where Ian Richardson played Holmes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It is, yes. So then we see Baron Gruner and I have Violent Merville. I fell in my script, walking along a garden path. In marrying you, my darling, Gruner is saying, all my past sins shall be absolved. Those aren't sins you've told me of, Violet says. These are slanders. My angel, Gruner says. You are traduced, as all great men are, she says. Yet I am determined that you shall know my history, every part of it. Thus I shall come to the altar, purified in soul and spirit, and in worthy, at last, of your love.
Barf.
Just 6 weeks. Oh, Adelbert, she says as he kisses her hands.
That alone is reason not to.
I know. I cannot pretend that my past is without stain. No man born in poverty who has created his own fortune can say that and speak the truth. Oh no, I have been forced to many a ruthless act, my dear. Well, I mean, yes.
Well, how many people have you killed?
But also, some things never change. If you're going to become rich, you have to steal from someone, whether it's time, material possessions, lives, money. Yeah. Where shall I begin? He says, and the couple walks on towards a magnificent manor house as Gruner begins spinning tales of his past. To observe,
he's been wronged by everyone he has ever met.
Exactly. To observe, Mr. Holmes, an atrocious event preparing itself before your very eyes, and yet be powerless to avert it. Could anyone, any human being, be placed in a more trying position? Damery asks. Perhaps not, Holmes says. Well, then you will sympathize with the client in whose interest I am acting, Damery says. I did not understand that you were merely an intermediary, Holmes says very sharply. Who is the principal? I beg of you not to press that question. His name cannot be dragged into this matter. His motives are to the last degree honorable, but he prefers to remain unknown.
Holmes, and I have the note, oh, her father.
But no.
Yeah, it's not, but still.
Holmes is seething. I need not say that your fees will be assured, Mr. Holmes, Damery continues, but Holmes stands up abruptly and walks to the doorway of his bedroom. And you will be allowed a free hand, Damery says. He turns to Watson. Surely the actual name of your client is immaterial. I must decline to act, Sir James. I am sorry, says Holmes. I am accustomed to having mystery at one end of my cases, but to have it at both ends is too confusing. No. And that's
something similar to the Prince of Bohemia, didn't he?
Yes, he did. He did. And that's interesting because this quote inserts itself directly into BBC Sherlock when they go to Buckingham Palace. And in fact, the Prince of, I mean, the cases are like tied together. It's really wild. You place me in the most serious dilemma, Damery says, getting up from the wicker sofa. Dare I say, Mr. Holmes, that you hardly realize the effect of your own action? I have given my word not to reveal the identity of my client. May I at least lay all I can before you? So Holmes is a little bit mollified. He comes back into the sitting room and pauses by the fireplace.
You can talk while I sulk.
Yes. It is understood, he says. I commit myself to nothing. Of course, yes, Damery says. Back at the Baron's manor house, Violet is contemplating this big portrait of Gruner above the fireplace. It's a perfect likeness. Who painted it? Hans of Innsbruck, a descendant of Klaus, the sculptor, famous for his bronzes, such as this. And Gruner gestured to a small statue on the desk behind him. These two artists are entirely fictional. I looked them up.
Yeah, I did too.
I shall commission Hans to attempt your likeness, my precious. I love this room, Violet tells him.
It's full of stuff that the maid will have to dust. It will take her so long.
Yes. She reaches out for his hands and he kisses her cheek and she picks up a book from the desk. What is this, your diary? No, it is my commonplace book, Gruner says, which is basically a notebook containing things a person might find interesting or useful. Thomas Jefferson had a commonplace book. In it, I record things I've seen, read, admired, occasionally, perhaps, a thought or two of my own, but it is locked.
A confession of all my crimes. Which actually, yeah, it is.
Yes. It is locked, Violet notes. It is a little part of me, Gruner says. Besides, a servant might pry. And I'm getting a Bluebeard vibe from this, except for instead of a locked room, a locked book.
Yeah.
One day, perhaps, we shall look at it together. No, Violet says, I respect your privacy, my darling. We must all keep something of our own, however much else we share. You are perfect, Gruner says.
I love and curious women.
They begin strolling through the mansion, which has these big display cases of porcelain. You must teach me about porcelain, Adelbert, Violet says. I shall. Collecting is such a pleasure, such a delight, Gruner says. It is a passion with me, just as you are, my precious.
Which, right here is where you can start making the connection between collecting things and women.
Yep. Oh, I have so much to say on that. We'll get to it. Back at 221B, Holmes is at his desk writing a note as Damery's speaking.
I wrote that while Damery's speaking, Holmes is just catching up on his correspondence.
Yes. The villain has attached himself to the lady with such effect that he has completely and absolutely won her heart. She will not hear one word against him. To sum up, she proposes to marry him next month. And she is of age and has a will of iron. It's hard to know how to prevent her. Love bombing. Gruner is masking classically to get her into his house to collect her. Yes.
Yep.
Does the infatuated young woman know of the Swiss episode? Holmes asks, getting up from his desk chair. He goes to the door of 221B with his note, leaning against the door jamb. The cunning devil has told her every unsavory scandal of his past life, but always in such a way as to make himself out to be an innocent martyr. She accepts his version and will listen to no other, not even her father's. Dear me, Sir James, have you not inadvertently let out the name of your client? Watson asked. He's dying to know. The general? Oh no, Dr. Watson. That strong soldier's been utterly demoralized by this incident. Suddenly, Holmes whips open the door. Mrs. Vincent stumbles in.
Mrs. has in her hand. Oh, I was just picking up stuff.
Hey, you rang, sir? She's clearly been listening at the door, but interestingly, she shows no embarrassment. Will you deliver this to the butcher's boy around the corner? That young rascal with the funny eye, Mrs. Hudson says, taking the note. The other is so invaluable, the other eye, and so is his bicycle, Holmes says. He points out the door into the hallway, and Mrs. Hudson turns to go downstairs. Holmes shuts the door again and comes back into the sitting room. How may I keep in touch with you, Sir James? Holmes asks. You accept my commission? Let us just say that your problem interests me, Holmes says, and he sits down at the table and taps a small notebook that's sitting on the table, which Watson then picks up and flips open to a blank page. The Carlton Club will find me, Demery says, and Watson jots this down, and the Baron's exact address in Kingston, Holmes says. Vernon Lodge, a large house. He's a rich man. Well, speculators, when successful, frequently are, Sir James. What further information can you give us about the man? Watson says. He has expensive tastes, collects books, pictures. Oh, and Chinese pottery. He's a recognized authority, written a book on the subject, Demery says. Well, Sir James, you may tell your client that I am turning my attention towards Baron Gruner, Holmes says. I have no doubt, Mr. Holmes, that you can easily trace my client, but I must ask you, as a point of honor, to refrain from doing so. Do not, I beg you, break in upon his incognito. I think I can safely promise that, Holmes says. And Damery leaves.
To be fair, Watson does tend to publish everything. So
Yes,
please don't find this out. We're eventually going to be reading about it in Strand.
Yes. Well, Watson goes to the bookshelf immediately and pulls out two. But Holmes says, you're wasting your time, Watson. Well, the career of General Merville might give us a point as to our client, Watson says. He's clearly illustrious. Did you not hear Sir James? Holmes asks impatiently. His request was to you, Holmes, Watson. Oh, very shameful of you, Watson, shameful. Besides, our minds should be more gainfully employed. Desist. And Watson obediently closes the book and takes his pipe out of his pocket. Any views? Holmes asks. Have you none? Not yet, beyond the one I've already acted on, Holmes says. The butcher's boy, Watson says. More discreet than any telegraph. Well, I should think you'd better see the young lady herself. Start with her, Watson says. If her poor broken-down father cannot move her, how can I, a complete stranger, prevail? Well, if all else fails, Watson says, striking a match and lighting his pipe. Perhaps. But first the underworld, Holmes says. For it is among the dark roots of crime that we must hunt for Gruner's secrets. And you know he loves this.
Yes.
The music here gets very sinister. Watson shakes out his match, tosses it into the fireplace. You've sent for Shinwell Johnson, he says. I have but one insight, Holmes says. Miss Merville might well condone murder, but yet some smaller offense might rankle. We shall see.
Yeah, that's a depressingly good insight into people.
I know, right? I mean, look, we're seeing it now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of a sudden, wearing the halo. because of a smaller offense than everything else he's ever done.
Mhm.
At Vernon Lodge, Gruner is tapping Holmes's business card on a table. They have engaged the very best, he's saying. Show him in. A butler ushers Holmes into the study where Gruner is standing with his back to him, looking out the window. I rather thought I should see you sooner rather than later, Mr. Holmes, he says, and then he turns around. You've been retained, no doubt, by General Murreville to prevent my marriage with his daughter Violet. That is so, is it not?
Sounds like a James Bond villain.
I know, yes. He comes around the desk and he kind of leans against it. Holmes says nothing. He just stands there with a half smile on his face. Gruner grins. Let me advise you very strongly, Mr. Holmes, to draw off at once. Draw off, Holmes says. My dear man, you will only ruin your well-deserved reputation. This is not a case which you can possibly hope to succeed. Draw off, sir. It is curious. That is the very piece of advice I've come to give you, Holmes says. Let me put it to you man to man. If you persist in this marriage, you will raise such a swarm of powerful enemies, England will be too hot to hold you. Surely you would be wiser to draw off.
Yeah, that's fine. We can live on the continent.
I know, right? Or in America. Gruner laughs. Excuse my amusement, Mr. Holmes, but it really is very funny seeing you try to play a hand with no cards in it. Not a color card there, sir. Nothing but the smallest of the small. So you think, Holmes says. So I know, sir. So I know. Let me make the thing clear to you. You consider your hand so strong that you could afford to show it. Certainly, since it becomes plain in this instance that you are clearly out of your depth, Mr. Holmes. Could it be that your capabilities have been subject to hyperbole? Which, Gruner knows exactly where to hit Holmes, right square in the ego.
Yes.
Your hand, Gruner, show it. Gruner gestures to a chair. Won't you sit down? I think I shan't, Holmes says. His feathers are massively ruffled. Please yourself, Gruner says. And he sits down in this gorgeous red leather Chesterfield armchair. He opens a humidor on the table next to him and takes out a cigar. It happens that I've been fortunate enough to win the entire affection of Miss Murreville, he says. This in spite of the fact that I have informed her clearly of all the unhappy incidents in my past. I have
All three wives I have murdered.
Yes, all of them. I have warned her that certain designing persons would come to her. I hope you recognize yourself in this, and would tell her of these things. I have instructed her how to treat them. She is well prepared for you. Holmes is just staring at Gruner. She will no doubt give you an appointment, Gruner continues, and she will listen. It will be to no avail, however. If you wish to speak, now is your moment. No, this is not the moment, Holmes says, and he turns to leave. Gruner gets up from his chair. Oh, by the way, Mr. Holmes, did you know the French agent, Lebrun? Of course, Holmes says. So you know what befell him. He was beaten in the Montmartre district of Paris and crippled for life. And Montmartre back then was a little dissolute and seedy, as well as being artistic, kind of like the,
criminals. It's also mentioned in Victor Hugo's Les Miserables.
Right. Yes. It's a lot of artists lived there because it was seedy and that's what they could afford.
Yes.
Quite so. By an odd coincidence, he had been inquiring into my affairs. Don't do it, Mr. Holmes. It is not a lucky thing. My last word to you is you go your way, let me go mine. And he lights his cigar. And mine to you, Gruner, is if you aspire to be accepted into English society, you would do well to remove the band of your Havana before lighting it. Otherwise, you'll be put down for a bounder.
A bounder, a dishonorable man.
Yes. He leaves, and Gruner watches him blowing out his match. And I was like, oh, yeah, these little class giveaways in British society, there's always something that will catch you out as you're striving, which is why My Fair Lady was such a big deal, right? Because they were trying to train her so that there would be none of that, which, of course,
well, they were focused primarily on her voice. Like she says towards the end that where they left her, like she couldn't rise in society. She couldn't become part of society because she didn't know all of those little things.
Well, yeah,
so she was too low for that, but she was now too high for the life she had previously lived.
Right. Yes. And these class differences and these little kind of giveaways are just, I mean, they can be devastating. And of course, Jeremy Brett also starred in My Fair Lady as Freddie.
Yes.
At 221B, a couple is sitting on the wicker couch waiting. Watson comes in from outside and asks Mrs. Hudson if Holmes has returned. Not yet, but there are 2 visitors waiting, Mrs. Hudson says, and Watson thanks her and goes in. And then he's grinning. Why, Johnson, he says, shaking Shinwell's hand. Evening, doctor. Mr. Holmes sent for me, Shinwell says. He is played, okay, this is a cool rabbit hole. He is played by Roy Holder, who played Mr. Hill in the 2005 production of Pride and Prejudice, the one with Keira Knightley and Matthew McFadden as Mr. Darcy. It also starred Tallulah Riley, who married Elon Musk not once, but twice. And is now married to Thomas Brodie Sangster, a.k.a. Jojen Reed from Game of Thrones, a.k.a. that kid from Love Actually.
Really?
Yes. Which also starred Edward Hardwicke.
Love Actually?
12 actors, just 12 in all of England, and they rotate.
Edward Hardwicke was in Love Actually?
Yeah.
I have to look this up. I don't remember that at all.
He wasn't, starring might be too strong a word. He had a role. But yes, he was in it. I know, Johnson, I know, Watson says. And I brought Kitty because, but before Shinwell can finish, Holmes is stomping up the stairs, hollering about being delayed at the museum, and then the press of traffic, an omnibus overturned on Great Russell Street, 2 dead, a horse had to be put down. Gentlemen, forgive me, I was absorbed in the mysteries of Ming. I quite forgot the hour. And he's like storming in and, taking off his coat, scarf, hat, all of that. And he turns to greet the woman in the room. Ah, madam. This is Miss Winter, Mr. Holmes, Shinwell says. Kitty, we call her. And what she don't know about Gruner, of course, please, Holmes says. And everybody sits back down again. Kitty can speak for herself, Shinwell says. Anyway, I put my hand right on her within an hour of your message, sir. He wants the points, the brownie points. I'm easy to find, Kitty says. Hell, London gets me every time. Same address goes for Porky. So she's cussing. She's not a lady. Porky.
Well, you could tell by her accent.
Yes. But she's beautiful.
Yeah, she is.
And
Edward Hardwicke was not in Love Actually. Martin Freeman was.
No, Edward Hardwicke was too.
I just looked up the cast.
Oh, wait. No, I know Martin Freeman was. That's huge. But I thought he was like in the...
No.
Oh, what was I looking up? I went down so many rabbit holes. It could have been, some other movie he had a small part in. Okay, thank you for the correction. Porky, Holmes asks, is that your nom de guerre, Johnson? You've never revealed that. Porky, and
Holmes is delighted.
Yes, he and Watson are just laughing like crazy. We're old mates, Porky and me, Kitty says, but there's someone who ought to be in a lower hell than us, and that's the man you're after, Mr. Holmes. I gather we have your good wishes, Miss Winter, Holmes says. If I can help put him where he belongs, I'm yours to the rattle, sir. Meaning the death rattle.
Yeah. Kitty
is played by Kim Thompson, who was a staple on Emmerdale Farm for 2 years. She's also been in like the kind of Law and Order-y type shows in the UK where they use like up and coming actors. The Bill, Casualty, Midsummer Murders. Virtually every actor in England
has been Midsummer Murders.
Yes, has been in at least one of these shows, if not all 3. Do you know what he intends? How the matter stands? Holmes asks. Porky tells me he's after some other poor fool, she says, only this time he wants to marry her and you want to stop it. Yes, Holmes says. Surely you know enough about this devil to prevent any decent girl in her senses wanting to have anything to do with him. But she's not in her senses, Miss Winter. She's madly in love and she knows all about him, Watson says.
And as we know, a woman becomes feeble-minded when she's in love. Maybe she just sucks as a person.
Yeah.
Maybe he told her the absolute truth and she was like, oh, that's fine.
Right. No, a little from column A, a little from column B. She cares for nothing, Holmes says. Told about the murder of his wife, Kitty asks. Yes, Watson says. My Lord, she must have a nerve. To your point, Rachel. She has, says Holmes. Can't you lay proofs before her? Kitty asks. Can you help us do so? Holmes asks. I am proof, living proof. If I was to stand before her and tell her how he used me, would you do this? Holmes asks. Would I? Would I not? It might be worth a try, Holmes says. I'll lay he didn't tell her all, sir. Holmes turns to face her. All? Kitty's staring off into the middle distance, remembering. He collected me. He collects women. I was an artist's model, a respectable artist's model. Of course, you sat for that painting in his study, Holmes says.
The
You
portrait
could,
of his head.
sorry, which what?
The portrait of his head.
No, there is another portrait of a woman who's got like one breast out and she's draped in this blue fabric.
Okay.
And she has red hair. And so, yeah, I think it's that one. You've been to Kingston, then you'll have seen all his crocs. Women in China, they're his twin passions. Gruner commissioned that painting, and afterwards, she closes her eyes. Well, let's just say I can never work again. Never, never. And I had a question here. Was there such thing as a respectable artist's model in Edwardian England?
Probably
I mean,
not.
weren't you just immediately suspect because you would have to get nude at some point? I am exceedingly obliged to you, Miss Winter, Holmes says. We shall indeed interview Miss Merville together. He gets up from his chair. My client will compensate you most liberally. Oh, none of that, Mr. Holmes. I'm not out for money. Just let me see this man in the mud with my foot on his face. That's my price. And I love that image.
I love Kitty.
Yes. Oh, she's amazing. So outside, a telegraph boy is riding a bicycle to 221B as Shinwell and Kitty depart. He hands a telegram to Mrs. Hudson. Shinwell and Kitty walk down Baker Street, where they're being followed by two men. Inside, Holmes opens the telegram. From Kingston. Thank you, Mrs. Hudson. No reply. Shall we dine? Watson reads the telegram. But this is a death threat, Holmes. Did you expect anything less in the battle with Gruner? Holmes is in his bedroom getting his top hat and his overcoat. Holmes, have a care. Oh, Watson, come along. We must eat. How uncharacteristic of Holmes.
My life has been credibly threatened. Come in public with me, Watson.
Unbelievable.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Shinwell and Kitty turn the corner, and Shinwell notes that they're being followed. They duck into an alleyway, and these two men pursue them. There's a mad chase through the West End.
There's madcap music playing.
Yes. They overturn a wino. They jump through a gate. They tear through a Chinese laundry. They run through a sewer. Kitty thinks they've eluded the men, but Shinwell knows better. Emerging from the sewer, they are confronted by their followers. Here, what did I say? Shinwell says. And the men pull out these big, like clubs, cautious. Now you stand over there, Kitty. There's a good girl, as Shinwell says. And he shoves her off to one side. Now who's first? You or you? And they fight. Headbutts, lots of punching, sticks dropping on the ground. Shinwell knocks out one of the men and punches the other and then pushes him into the water.
And he drowned.
Well, amateurs, they've done no time. Don't know nothing, Shinwell says. Come on, girl. So Shinwell's been in jail. Okay. Over in Kingston, Gruner is listening to opera on his Victrola and smiling. No, he's laughing. He's flipping through his commonplace book where there are several photos of women in various states of undress or not. There are dozens of them.
Victorian born.
He adds a photo of Violet, fully clothed, to the next blank page in his book. So this is his collection. A butler comes into the study. There's two persons who wish to see you, sir. Persons? I couldn't honestly call them gentlemen. I'll come, Gruner says, closing his book and locking it, and he puts it in a secret panel of his desk and locks that. The two ruffians who'd been following Shinwell and Kitty are there, looking much the worse for wear. Was he armed? Gruner asks. No, sir, says one, looking very ashamed. Go through to the kitchens, clean yourselves up, and clear out, Gruner said, fully disgusted. The next day, Kitty and Holmes are in a carriage headed to Violet Merville's. I've agreed to this visit out of respect to my father, Mr. Holmes, rather than for you. My fiance assures me you're no longer what you were, a spent force, Violet says. Holmes looks fairly murderous at this. And you, Miss Winter, surely you must also be superfluous, she continues. Our intentions are the best, Holmes says, sitting down.
Like, wow, what a bitch. Have fun with your fiance.
Right, I know. We are here to aid you. Really? When you've called to malign my fiancé? I am not renowned, Miss Merville, for the warmth of my affections, says Holmes, but I can appreciate them in others. Had I a daughter, I should, I hope, feel for you as the general does, nor is his concern without foundation. There, the slander begins, Violet says. Though I do not really call upon anyone to beg or plead, but in Baron Gruner, please, I never speak idly. You have chosen not merely unwisely, but dangerously. Marry him, Miss Merville, and I assure you, with all the knowledge I have of the criminal mentality, you will be in mortal danger, just as the former Baroness was. She, too, was infatuated and paid the fatal price, her life for her fortune. That's a lie, Violet says. You are, of course, aware that the Splurgen Pass, where your predecessor died, runs between Italy and Switzerland? What does the geography matter? A great deal when you plan to hurl a helpless woman off a cliff in one country and break her neck in another. But it was an accident. Well, why did the shepherd boy who saw the Baroness fall die of arsenical poisoning? His murderess, whom Gruner had seduced, confessed at her trial that he obliged her to administer the fatal substance or risk disfigurement for life by oil of vitriol.
Which is another term for sulfuric acid.
Yes. Those are the facts, Miss Merville. I beg you, picture the awful situation you will find yourself in if you only wake to your fiancé's true character after you have married him. Violet gets up. I have listened to you with patience, Mr. Holmes. I am aware that my fiancé has had a stormy life in which he has incurred most unjust aspersions. Possibly you mean well, though I learn that you're a paid agent. But in any case, I love Baron Gruner and he loves me. And she turns to Kitty. You have told me this young lady's name. Is there a reason for her presence? I'll say there is, Kitty says. And what exactly are you, Miss Winter? Me? I'll tell you what I am. I was his mistress, that's who, one of 100. More, he's tempted, used, ruined, and thrown aside, as he will you too. Please, if you marry this man, it'll be the death of you. It may be a broken heart or a broken neck, but he'll have you. Oh, really? Violet scoffs. Thank you, Kitty. You've made yourself admirably clear, Holmes says. I'm aware of 3 occasions in my fiancé's life when he has become entangled with designing women, and I'm...
A designing woman is a woman who schemes to achieve her goals.
Yes. And it was a great pun when there was that sitcom, Designing Women, because they were interior designers. I'm assured of him by his hearty repentance, Violet says. Him? Repent? And only 3, Kitty says. Oh, you fool, you stupid fool. Mr. Holmes, I've obeyed my father's wishes in seeing you, but I am not compelled to listen to the slanderous ravings. Ravings? Ravings? Kitty raves. My God, I'll show you. She stands up and she pulls back her hair from her neck. And her neck has been burned. It's disfigured. And it looks like sulfuric acid is kind of Gruner's go-to. Look, she says, see that? And here. And she unbuttons her blouse and shows her chest. Oil of vitriol. He did it. Oh, yes, he did it, your fiancé. And her skin is destroyed. So no wonder she can't work again as a model. That's a lie. It's a lie, Violet says. Holmes puts his hand on Kitty's shoulders. Thank you, Kitty, he says, but she tears away from him and runs out of the room. Violet stares at Holmes. He walks to the door after Kitty. You can tell the Baron I shall not rest until I bring him to justice. And he leaves. So he's kind of shocked because he hasn't seen this.
Yeah.
Outside, Kitty is clutching her blouse together, running to the carriage that they arrived in. She's sobbing. Holmes joins her and the carriage takes off. This is such a great scene.
Yeah.
Why, Kitty? Why? Why did Gruner treat you so? Because no, why not? I can't tell you, Mr. Holmes, Kitty says between sobs, and she's trying to do the hooks and eyes up on her blouse. You must, this instant. You said that he collects women. What do you mean by that? It's a book he has, brown leather with a lock and his coat of arms and gold on it. Oh, I can't speak of it. He keeps a record of his women. We're all in there. Photographs, names, details, everything about us. He tried to make me read it when I can't. Holmes puts his arm around her. When you refused? He went berserk. He ran out of the room. I was trying to dress. He came back with his bottle. I was half naked. He threw it straight at me. Where is this book? Holmes demands. I don't know. Think. No, no. In the study, in the bedroom, Holmes asks. It's more than a year since I was there, Kitty sobs. Then you can remember, Kitty. Think, Holmes says. In the study, she says, back of the bureau. And Holmes puts his arm back around her. Thank you, Kitty. Thank you. And I love that Holmes is like attuned to the trauma that she's been through, even as he needs to get the answers out of her. Yeah. Okay. So here's where I tell my Gene Simmons story.
I've been waiting for that.
Yes. So when I was a baby editorial assistant back in 1987, I was working for a guy, an editor named Jim Fitzgerald at Doubleday. And Jim did a lot of rock and roll books, pop culture, that kind of thing. He just published, just as I had gotten there in August, Dee Snider's book from Dee Snider from Twisted Sister. Mm-hmm. So this is, I think it's in the fall, maybe fall or spring. It was an sort of interim period, not winter or summer. So I'm working away at my desk. 2 doors down happens to be two doors down from Jackie Onassis's office. So it was quite a glamorous environment. I get a phone call from reception. A Mr. Gene Simmons is here to see Jim, the receptionist told me. He doesn't have an appointment, I said. Well, he's here, and she hung up. So I tell Jim, and he says to go fetch him. I go out into the reception area, and yes, it is Gene Simmons from Kiss, sitting there wearing lizard skin boots. His hair is all wild, and he's licking his lips compulsively, which I found out later is because he's coked to the gills. And he's got a huge artist's portfolio with him. So I tell him to come on back with me. And with that,
I remember the story.
Yes. I usher him into Jim's office and I sit down to take notes. And I should say at this point, I'm dressed pretty primly. I've got a long skirt on and my shirt, blouse buttoned all the way up and a brooch at my collar. Right. I look like a school marm, but that was what I was going for back then. And the two men go back and forth. Gene wants to do a coffee table book of all the women he's ever slept with. And Jim is trying to persuade him that a memoir would be better. Working title, Kiss and Tell. Duh. Finally, Gene says he'll think about it. He stands up to leave. I get up to show him out. But he goes out to my desk and he plops the portfolio down and tells me to open it. Jim's standing behind me. I kind of look at him, and he nods. So I unzip the portfolio and it is crammed full of Polaroids of topless women. Gene tells us he takes a Polaroid every time he sleeps with someone and then goes into like all kinds of lurid stories. Terrible, disgusting. But I'm not going to let him get a rise out of me. He's sexually harassing me right in front of my boss. And Jim he wasn't saying anything because he thought it was funny.
Of course.
Yes. So I zip the thing back up. I hand it to him and start walking him out. And I forget if he tried to talk to me after that or not. I showed him to the reception area and came back to my desk. So Gene was a collector too. Mm-hmm. And just as scuzzy. These Polaroids had like names and dates and stuff on the white part underneath the photo.
That's really gross.
Yeah, isn't it? And I understand he still has his portfolio, which is, his version of this commonplace book. His wife, amusingly, tries to throw it out periodically, and he goes out and rescues it because he's pathetic.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, I when I saw this in this episode, I'm like, I've been there. I've seen that. It's real. People actually do this shit.
Yeah. Gross.
I know. Oh my God. And that's part of why I love this episode so much, because it's true to life. Anyway. Sorry?
Just like those are men who don't even like sex so much as they like telling it.
It's yeah, exactly. It's about owning that. It's and these pictures are just souvenirs of that ownership.
Mm-hmm. Well, the whole point is the souvenir.
Yeah, it's not even of the sex.
No,
I mean, these guys, Kiss as a band, they were drugged up like so completely. I have to wonder how much sex they actually accomplished. So at a restaurant, Watson is asking Holmes, Mrs. Winter's scars could not move Miss Merville? She was shocked, Holmes tells him, but recovered instantly. Good heavens, it seems inhuman. True. I confess a part of me could wish her joy with Gruner, Holmes says. And they appear to be closing down the restaurant.
Yeah, they're stacking chairs on tables. Like, I think the waiters would like you to leave now.
Yes, exactly. Abandon her to her fate after all this, Watson says. When I compare Miss Merville to Kitty, whose spirit is as fine as her body is blemished, yes. You wouldn't withdraw from the case, Watson says. Have no fear, Watson. My disgust with Miss Merville, counts as nothing against my determination to foil Gruner. One thing irks me, that I've not paid more regard to Kitty's deportment when we first met, the manner in which she dressed her hair. And he gestures, kind of illustrating how Kitty had her hair pulled over her shoulder to hide the scars.
It actually was a really attractive hairstyle.
Yes, it was. A waiter brings them a tab. Holmes signs for it. It's late. We must be gone. As they're leaving, Watson says, I've got a mountain of work to do at the surgery, Holmes, so I'll see you in the morning. Until tomorrow, then, Holmes says, and they part ways.
I have to do work at my surgery at midnight.
Right. And where's he going to sleep? Holmes walks back through the West End to 221B, but he is accosted by two ruffians, possibly the same ones who tried to attack Shinwell. All right, Mr. Holmes, let's be having you, one of them says, and he's wielding this large, long stick. Ah, and I can guess to whom I owe this pleasure, Holmes says, removing his top hat. And they proceed to fight. Holmes is using his walking stick against their sticks. They're doing a lot of punching and kicking. They defeat Holmes.
Fred's stuntmen did a really good job.
Yes, they did. That was a well choreographed fight.
Yeah, it was. You could every once in a while catch a glimpse of the stuntman's face.
So they defeat Holmes. He's left on the street, bleeding from his mouth. The next morning, a newsie is selling papers yelling, "Murderous attack on Sherlock Holmes, read all about it." And
I really want to know how the press found out about this.
The British tabloids, I'm telling you, long history of like knowing shit. Someone leaked, and it could very well have been Gruner.
Whoever found him, yeah.
Well, Gruner even.
True.
Gentlemen in spats are mobbing the newsie for copies. Watson happens to come around the corner, and he snatches up a paper in horror. He pays the newsie, and he rushes to Baker Street. Inside Holmes's room, Holmes is lying on his bed in the dark. His knuckles are scraped and bloody. It's all right, Watson. Don't look so scared. You mustn't talk, Watson says. Nonsense, Holmes says, but he lies very still, not moving. I need to. My dear Holmes, of course it was that damned Austrian. Give the word and I'll go thrash the hide off him. Watson draws nearer to the bed. The music is a combination of sweet and melancholy. Good old Watson. No, Holmes says, and we get a close-up of his face. He's got at least one black eye, a mess of horrible purple bruises on his face and neck, a bandage around his head. He's still in his tuxedo shirt from the night before.
Oh, is he? I thought he was in nightclothes.
No, he's in because I saw the cuffs where the cufflinks to go. Yeah. Was it the same pair that attacked Shinwell Johnson and Miss Winter? Watson asks. One may have been, Holmes says. The other, I doubt it. But, and here it's unintelligible. The subtitles made no sense. The script I consulted could not make heads or tails of it. Brett is speaking through a clenched jaw, and part of his face is swollen. So, yeah, we're not going to get everything. You must alert Johnson, he says. Tell him to find some quiet suburb for Kitty. She should stay there until the danger has passed. Then we'll...
I love that he thought of Kitty and her safety.
I know. Then we must exaggerate my injuries. There's no need for that, Watson says. Even so, we must lay it on thick for the press. Might not live the week out. Concussion, delirium, I don't care. What you like. We must issue the gravest bulletins, Holmes says. Watson nods. Anything more? Yes. Put my pipe on the table from the tobacco slipper. You must rest, not smoke, Watson chides in. Very well, Dr. Holmes says, and closes his eyes. I mean, it's serious enough that he's listening to Watson.
Yeah.
At
It
Vernon,
does look really bad.
he looks terrible. At Vernon Lodge in the garden, Brunner is reading an account of Holmes's attack in the newspaper and having tea from a particularly lovely porcelain teacup. I know. Violet comes over to him. She's been picking flowers in the garden. Ah, my dearest, every day you become more precious to me, Gruner says. Violet sits down, setting her flower basket on the table, and she won't look at him. What is it? Gruner asks. It's just that, must you really go to America? She says. And I'm like, seriously, that's it? You're not like upset that maybe your boyfriend had something to do with, Holmes getting the shit kicked out of him?
Yeah, I mean, fuck her, but I like her dress.
I know, yeah, that dress is very pretty. Gruner takes her hand. Oh, my darling, it's only a short trip. I have important financial business. Certain interests to regulate in Chicago, but I shall be back so soon, in the twinkle of an eye. The butler comes out with more newspapers. The late editions, sir, he says, and he sets them down in front of Gruner and leaves. Have you seen the papers? Gruner asks Violet. That poor man Holmes. He sinks daily. I'm afraid you cannot expect me to have very much sympathy with Mr. Holmes and his misfortune, Violet says.
Fuck her.
Yes, fuck her up, down, sideways. Yes.
He warned me not to marry you, so I'm cool with him being beaten nearly to death. Also, hasn't Holmes done this before? Like, shouldn't journalists instead be writing things like Sherlock Holmes claims to be near death? Who is he trying to set a trap for?
No, because we have not seen the dying detective yet.
No, I thought we did.
No, that hasn't happened yet.
Oh.
Yeah, there is no precedent. So Gruner's reading, he says erysipelas has set in, which is a bacterial skin infection, also known as St. Anthony's fire, caused by a strep virus entering a break in the skin. Gruner is going, tisking. At 221B, Watson comes in, also waving a newspaper. Have you seen the news? Gruner sails for America on the Ruritania on Friday. There was no ship by that name. It comes from The Prisoner of Zenda.
Yeah.
And it's the name of a fictional country. News that hits hard, Holmes says. Friday, you say? That means he leaves from Liverpool, not from Southampton. That means the rascal means to get away from us, but he won't. So Liverpool's a lot further away from London than Southampton. By the Lord Harry, he won't. Watson, I need you to do something for me. Watson puts down his paper, turning to Holmes. I am here to be used. Then spend the next 24 hours in an intensive study of Chinese pottery. So Watson does. He doesn't even ask why. He just does. We see him surrounded by books, swatting up, as they say. He doesn't get it, but he's doing it out of loyalty to Holmes. Meanwhile, Holmes is kind of writhing about in bed, obviously in a great deal of pain. Watson continues to study while he's taking Holmes's temperature, while he reads books.
Absent-mindedly taking Holmes's temperature.
Yes.
He takes the thermometer out while he's reading and just looking at the book, and then like 5 minutes later, he looks at the thermometer. Oh, your temperature is 78 degrees. Interesting.
So while he reads book after book after book, Mrs. Hudson comes up to tend to Holmes a little bit. Watson falls asleep reading. He wakes a little bit when Mrs. Hudson comes out of Holmes's room.
Yeah, it's really sweet how they all come together to take care of him. Like they're just a lovely little family.
I know. He's sleeping now, sir, Mrs. Hudson says. I gave him morphine, Watson tells her. You won't let the lamp smoke now, will you? She asks. No. Have you locked up down below? Oh, I did that a while back, Mrs. Hudson says. There's murderous folk about. True, Watson says, yawning. Don't drive yourself too hard, sir, Mrs. Hudson says. You'll be good for nothing in the morning. No, I shan't be long, Watson reassures her. In the morning, still in his bed, Holmes hands Watson a card, and Watson reads it out. Dr. Hill Barton, 369 Half Moon Street, Mayfair West. Who's this? You, Holmes says. This is your name this evening, Dr. Hill Barton. When you call on Baron Gruner at 8:30, he'll be disengaged. We'll send a note telling him that you'll call. And Holmes opens a velvet-lined box that's in the bed with him. Also, you're bringing this. He pulls out a small china bowl. It is the real eggshell of the Ming dynasty. The complete set would be worth a king's ransom. You
And I have the note. I stole it from a Chinese restaurant.
It does look like a soy sauce bowl. Yeah. You are a collector. This set has come your way. You've heard of the Baron's interest and are not averse to selling it at a price. What price? Watson asks, handling the bowl very gently. We will not exaggerate if you say it would hardly match in the world. Sir James got it for me. It comes from the collection of his client. I could say that it should be valued by an expert, Watson says, turning the bowl over in his hands. Oh, Watson, you scintillate today. I suggest Sotheby's or Christie. You're certain he'll see me? Oh, yes, Holmes says. He has the collection mania in its most acute form. One last question, Holmes. Why have you made me a broker in antiques? To gain time, Holmes says, the opportunity to acquire such a set as this may persuade the Baron to postpone his visit to the United States. Now I understand, Watson says. Elementary psychology, Watson. That evening, Kitty watches from across the street as Watson hails a cab for Kingston. Kitty,
Yeah, just Kingston. I'm sure the driver is like any particular part of Kingston.
Kitty hops on the back of the carriage as it takes off down the street. Watson, completely oblivious to this, spends the ride reciting facts about Chinese porcelain. At the lodge, Gruner is enormously pleased at what Watson has brought him. Very fine, he says. Very fine indeed. And you say you have a set to correspond. Watson nods. The Baron grins. I know of only one in England to match it, he says, and they stare at each other. Would it be indiscreet of me if I were to ask how you obtained this?
Ordered corn soup and put the bowl in my pocket when I was done eating.
Right. Does it really matter, Watson says. Of course it matters. With precious objects such as these, provenance is all. Well, you can see the piece is genuine. As to the value, I am perfectly content to take an expert's assessment. I had supposed you were an expert, Dr. Hill Barton, Gruner says. I meant an independent assessment, Watson says. Of course, Gruner says. I have some recently acquired pieces of celadon that you might care to view. By all means, Watson says. So now begins the test. Gruner shows him to his china cabinets. Watson pulls out one piece. It's flawless. Typical 12th century Sung, I'd say, wouldn't you?
Banana soup bowl.
Yeah, it's just a plain white. Yeah. You are right, Gruner says, putting it back. He walks to another cabinet. And this? That's an excellent example, Watson says, looking at a small statue. Qing dynasty, I should say circa 265 AD. Precisely, Gruner says. And they walk to another showcase. And these, typical of celadon, wouldn't you say? Give me time, Watson says. I am giving you time, sir, Gruner says. Quite so, Watson says. I should also be interested in your views on the marks of the Hung Wu, Gruner says, and he stands before yet another cabinet filled with blue and white china. Marks of the Hung Wu? Watson asks. That's a vexed question. A vexed question indeed, sir. There are no marks on the genuine Hung Wu. This is intolerable, sir, Watson shouts.
He accused me of coming here under false pretenses.
I came here to do you a favor, not be examined as though I were a schoolboy. You came here to spy, Gruner says. Not so, Watson shouts. You may have found it easy to inveigle your way in here upon false pretenses, but by God, sir, you shall find it harder to get out. Raise your hands above your heads, Dr. Watson. And Gruner pulls a pistol out of a wooden case, conveniently located next to the Hung Wu. Watson immediately does so, but there's a crash from another room. Gruner comes back into the study with the gun, leaving Watson, and sees Holmes coming in through a side door, still bandaged.
Yeah, not at all surreptitiously, just kind of standing there in the middle of the room.
Exactly. Holmes, you don't move. I shall shoot you through the head rather than the heart, and then inform the police I mistook you for a common burglar. That is a role I have played before, Holmes says, with some success. Without any doubt, sir, this will be your last time. Gruner raises the gun and aims. Baron, Watson shouts. Hetty, Gruner cries out. She's behind Holmes. She pops out and she throws sulfuric acid at his face.
Yay.
Be done by as you did, she says, and she runs back outside. Gruner is screaming. Hold her, stop her, help me, help me. Watson grabs a carafe of water and attempts to wash out Gruner's wounds, but Gruner's squirming around on the floor for him to get
Let me put some water on it. Help spread the acid around.
Exactly, yeah. Watson yells for the butler to call the hospital. As all this is going on, Holmes goes to the desk and unlocks the secret panel. He pulls out the commonplace book. He looks up at the portrait of Gruner. Some of the sulfuric acid has hit it, and it's beginning to dissolve, much as Gruner's real face is dissolving, kind of like picture of Dorian Grayish thing going on. Back at 221B, Holmes is lying on the wicker couch while Mrs. Hudson ministers to him with a cup of tea. Damery comes in, looking hugely concerned. He's wearing evening clothes and an opera cape. Ah, Sir James, forgive me for summoning you at this late hour, Holmes says, but there's no time to be lost. You must have this before Scotland Yard bumbles in, and he hands Damery the commonplace book. Scotland Yard? Sir James asks, taking it. Baron Gruner's laid a complaint upon us. Watson as an imposter, myself as a burglar. We were both, Holmes says. I diverted Gruner's attention while Holmes procured that, Watson says. You must show it to Miss Merville. She will find herself one among 100. The account of which sports Baron Gruner enjoyed with his female victims may perhaps at last open Miss Merville's eyes, Holmes says. You've done wonders, Holmes, wonders, Damery says. Except for Kitty Winter, Holmes says. Watson, explain, I must rest. Miss Winter is a former mistress of Gruner's, Watson says. She followed me to Kingston. Concealed about her was a flask of vitriol, which she unleashed upon Gruner, Holmes says. Severely damaging his right hand and part of his face, Watson says. He will be disfigured for life.
Guy.
What was that?
Poor guy.
We feel very sorry for him. Sir James nods. But surely if these injuries are as terrible as you describe them, then our purpose is sufficiently gained. She'd love him the more, Holmes says, as a disfigured martyr. No, it is his moral side, not his physical, which we have to destroy. That book will bring her down to earth. I knew nothing else that could. It's in his own handwriting. She cannot get past it.
I'm sure she probably could if she tried, but okay.
Neither my client nor myself can thank you enough, Mr. Holmes, Damery says. Should either Miss Winter or even yourself be incommoded by the police, do not hesitate to phone me. Thank you, Sir James, but to tell the truth, I rarely, if ever, find myself inconvenienced by Scotland Yard, Holmes says, with a little laugh that must hurt his ribs that were kicked in. Sir James says goodnight and leaves. Watson sees him out. At the door to the building, as they're shaking hands, Damery says, I would like to thank you too, Dr. Watson. Thank you, Sir James, Watson says. Oh, by the way, and he goes into the vestibule and comes out with a box. The Ming dish. By Jove, yes, Damery says. Worth the king's ransom, I understand. Hint, hint. Good night, Watson. Sir James turns to get into his carriage. The carriage door closes, and it has the king's coat of arms on it, Edward VII.
I wish my client to remain anonymous, he says.
So awesome.
Carriage with the client's coat of arms on it.
Yes, exactly. Like you're not doing a very good job. Watson rushes back upstairs. Holmes, I've discovered the identity of our client. It's none other than a loyal friend and a chivalrous gentleman. Let that now and forever be enough for us. Holmes shoots Watson a knowing glance and then closes his eyes. In the final scene, Violet is looking through the commonplace book. The last page is her own photograph. She closes it and presumably never talks to Gruner again as the credits roll.
Presumably.
So Bending the Willow notes that this episode was the standout in this portion of the series, this portion being called the Casebook of Sherlock Holmes. It's certainly most faithful to the original story.
Yeah. It's very well done. I enjoyed this one.
I did too, yes. The script was written by Robin Chapman, who also wrote the next episode that we're going to cover.
Okay.
So that should be a good one too, hopefully.
Hopefully.
But this, I mean, it spoke to me on so many levels. The love bombing, the masking, the photos.
Yeah.
Just,
it's very modern in a
it is.
that way.
It is. I mean, how many Reddit threads have you seen that could apply to this?
Quite a lot.
Or, ask Aubrey on Blue Sky.
Well, the Reddit threads tend to be like, my husband just confessed that he murdered my cousin, and that was why I found the clothing she was wearing the day she disappeared at the bottom of my dresser drawer. Am I overreacting?
Right, am I overreacting? Yes. Or, my husband is perfect in every way. It's just we always have this one fight, and it turns out that he's like completely disrespecting her up, down, sideways. And, she's just a bang maid.
Yeah.
So, yes, it is very modern. This episode did not stick with me the first time I saw it, and I think it's because it's so far into the series. But we've got a lot of good stuff ahead. We've got the dying detective. We still have the blackmailer.
Yeah, we do.
Justice Milverton. Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff ahead.
Looking forward to it.
Any further thoughts on this one?
I liked that at no point was Violet really a sympathetic character. I thought that was a very interesting take on it, because usually with these cases, the woman in question tends to be sympathetic.
Yes. Oh, but Holmes
is just misinformed about
right.
Person, and this woman is just such a bitch.
She is an icy glass of water for sure. Holmes really can't stand her.
Yeah.
And
I was thinking roughly the same thing when he was like, I'm kind of tempted to leave them.
Yes, exactly. Where what is he says, I confess a part of me could wish her joy with Gruner.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, Rachel's been saying that this whole episode. Yeah, she deserves it, man. I mean, the poor other Baroness, who knows what her story was, but I mean, he obviously and I've been in these relationships where they position themselves as victims and martyrs, and you just like, oh, my man's been done wrong,
Yeah, in the middle of all the love bombing, they do that, so that you'll believe them and not believe people who are trying to warn you.
Yes, I know, I've been there, but ultimately the mask drops.
Yep.
This is why I no longer date.
Yeah.
Not happening again. I'm much happier being out of that like jungle.
Yep.
4B. If only it had been invented for Miss Violet Merville.
Well, I'm sure she'll find another repulsive person.
Yes. There's, I mean, some people are just unrehabilitated.
I mean, also, would you really want a nice gentleman to have to put up with her?
No, that's true. I wouldn't wish her on anybody. She's horrid. So I resent her being described as a Wonder Woman. I
guess they mean that she's capable and she's intelligent and she's very much of her own mind, as opposed to, oh, I'll let the men around me just guide me to what they think is best for my life.
Yeah, she's not a sort of limp flower.
Yeah.
But still.
Which is part of why she's so frustrating for Holmes to deal with, because like he cannot get through to her.
Right. Right.
And again, this is her specific personality, not that, she's independent minded.
No,
But
exactly.
it makes his job harder because she happens to also be a horrible bitch.
It's almost like Shakespearean tragedy kind of thing. The
Yeah.
nature of her character makes it impossible to save her.
Yes. Yep.
Such fun we have. Deep, dark psychology.
Well, there's a reason people keep coming back to these stories.
Yeah, no, they're true. They're absolutely true. And I swear to God, that Gene Simmons thing, I'm like, what? Arthur Conan Doyle, like 100 years ahead of his time. Jesus.
Well, what that really means is that men have not changed at all in the past.
They have no imagination, no creativity, no nothing. No.
Male listeners.
Oh my God.
I doubt our male listeners have stuck us out this far.
Well, maybe my cousin has. He's empathetic. He would no, this is not no. He would 100% co-sign everything we're saying. Well,
okay. That's all from us this week. If you've enjoyed the show and haven't subscribed yet, you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to support us, you can leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or your podcast provider of choice. Tell your friends. And join us next week when we'll be discussing the adventure of the creeping man.
The creeping man, yay. All right, bye, Robin Chapman. All right, see you then.
Bye.